You're watching the Isaiah Factor Uncensored.
Welcome and thank you for joining us for the second half hour. The Factor Uncensored. Debt is kicking a lot of people's butt out there. A lot of borrowers in the U.S. are knee deep, and numbers have been rising over the past few years. Our next guest has more information for you and how to dig yourself out of that hole. And joining us on the Factor Uncensored, we have with us one of our favorites, Lucy Petrie, who is an attorney and CPA. Now, Lucy, we are seeing a significant increase in American debt out there. I think as of June 2025, that number is at $17.86 trillion in debt that Americans may owe out there. And the bigger portion of that amount, and I think it's 47 million Americans, is subprime credit that people have obtained. First of all, let's talk about, for those who are not quite familiar, what is subprime?
It may be, consumer credit, first of all, that is unsecured, meaning it's not attached to an asset that can be used to satisfy the liability, but also for those who may not have great credit. So it's credit that it's likely to be defaulted on.
And so those are individuals who are finding it difficult to get credit, so they're getting that credit at a much higher interest rate.
Exactly, because they represent more risk to the companies lending the money. So it is actually a vicious circle, right? It costs more, but it is more difficult to get the loans and more likely to default.
But they are giving out loans, and you're saying that this, what many people may not have considered, is from a time of prosperity for some when we were all locked down, but more and more people were getting money. So tell us about that. Explain that theory for us.
Yeah, it may not feel like it, but we just had a huge influx from an economic point of view. We just had a huge influx of cash in the market. We had the stimulus checks. We had PPP loans. The government was giving out these the unsecured loans to businesses. And then we had SBA loans that were very generous during the pandemic. And also the not having to pay back the student loans. So that caused the economy to actually do fairly well. But all that money is gone now. All the cash is spent.
So you're saying the party is over now, Lucy. That money is gone. Bye-bye.
And the hangover is coming. This is the hangover now. That is coming. The economy is catching up to it. So now student loans are going into repayment. It's getting more expensive with the current interest rates. It's getting more expensive to borrow money. And yeah, the number of people who are delinquent is increasing, but also the number of borrowers is increasing and the amount of borrowing is increasing. And that is a little concerning.
And that takes us to this $17 trillion in debt and more than 44% of it being subprime. So for those who are looking for a way out, Lucy, how do you even begin to dig yourself out of this hole, especially if you have subprime credit out there where you will be paying interest rates for 10, 20 years on something like $10,000 or less?
Yeah, that is really difficult. And I'm going to start here with the nuclear option. And that is bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is an option for those who need help getting caught up or getting out of a bad situation. It is, of course, the last resort.
But that's saddled on you for quite some time, though, on your record, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. I think it's 7, 8 years. And like I said, that is the nuclear option. That is the last resort. Now,
and really quick before we move on, Lucy, as you've told me time and time again, but this won't help those student loan borrowers out there, not bankruptcy.
Right. It is very, very difficult, nearly impossible to have student loans discharged in bankruptcy. And it's also kind of hard to have taxes, past due taxes discharged in bankruptcy. It's possible, but it's very difficult. So don't count on that. Of course, I would say you need to talk to somebody who specializes in this area of law. But something else to consider, Isaiah, is to be very careful with the companies that are out there saying that they help consolidate your loans. I think there are a lot of companies that are, there are a lot of scams out there, and I've heard over and over of these companies that say they will help and take your money and don't do anything.
Don't go anywhere. We'll share more financial advice after the break. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. It's very easy to get into debt and hard to get out of it, but it's not impossible. Our next guest shares some more tips for you to help you.
It is difficult to dig yourself out of debt. The first step is to stop spending, and then to pay off the whatever liability you have that has the highest interest rate, because that is the one that is costing you the most, and then tackle one at a time.
So pick up the biggest rock first. Let's
Mhm.
work on this. Put most of our resources into that first big bill and then work our way down.
Exactly. That is what is recommended to do. And then of course you have to stop the bleeding. So you cannot keep going into debt and expect to get yourself out of it. Now, this is all easier said than done, right? Because if you're short on your electric pay or your rent, or you need to eat, of course you're going to use that credit card. But maybe making a budget and anticipating those expenses and cutting out superfluous or those expenses that you can live without. I hate even just saying this.
I know you're
But it's
depressing
difficult.
me. I
I
thought you
know
had a
it is.
magic pill, Lucy, a magic pill for our viewers out there.
I wish I had. I wish I had something that there's no such thing. It is just painstakingly slow discipline over time. Yeah, I wish I
and
had
and
some
and I would
tips.
assume save as much as you can, cut out all the extra spending if you don't
Right.
have to do it. Obviously, your necessities are there, like your utilities and your rent or your house mortgage, and you have to put that up. But anything else, you should just
Mhm.
save, and pay off that first big bill. And after that, I would assume it gets easier, but you see the light at the tunnel. I mean, will you see the light at the end of the tunnel? That
Yeah,
there is hope now that I paid off this first big bill. Okay, let's knock the other ones out. Let's go through it. But you're saying be aware or be very cautious when it comes to those loans, consolidation loans. Look at all the
exactly.
fine details.
Exactly. And don't take on new debt, especially at some of the interest rates that we see out there, 20% credit cards, or sometimes even worse. I would do everything that I can to avoid those if you can.
All right, Lucy Petrie, CPA and attorney. Oh, I thought you had some
I know. I
magic
know.
solutions for me. You leave me a little depressed here for our
I'm a
viewers
little
out
depressed too.
there. But you're saying do the work, and that's what we will do. Do the work. All right, Lucy Petrie, always good to see you here on The Factor Uncensored. See you next time.